Well, here we are into April of 2025, and it's time for another market update. Well, I can't believe it. It's already April of 2025, and it's time for another market update for the Lakewood Ranch area. So I keep seeing all these videos on the YouTube, on the internet, saying that we're going to have a market crash, but I'm just not seeing those figures. Although I will have to say we are seeing a market correction, and I think that some of the things that are going on in Washington right now are creating a little bit of uncertainty for the general public overall. I know I have questions about it, but I feel like things will eventually work their way out. And I think it's just like what we experienced during the COVID. In the first month of COVID, I thought, boy, our real estate market is going down the tubes, but it did not. The second month it rebounded, and of course, you know the story about that. So I think what we're seeing now is more of a correction here in the market in our area, things becoming much more balanced, dropping some from their highs that we saw in 2022 and 2023. So let's get into the facts and figures of what we're seeing here in our area. Now, as you know, I usually do two parts of this segment. One is for zip codes 34202 and 34211, which is mainly everything north of University Parkway, which is our dividing line between Manatee and Sarasota County. And then the second segment is usually encompassing a map search MLS wise for all of Lakewood Ranch. And the reason I do that is because it's easier to look at the facts and figures. When I go and pull this market data from Trend Graphics, they don't show Lakewood Ranch as one general area, so I have to break it down into the zip codes. But I like their format in the way they provide the data, and it's much easier to digest and to see visually. And then I go in and pull in the data for all of Lakewood Ranch. So let's get started into what we're seeing here in the market area. So our first graph here shows you what we're seeing in 34202 and 34211 for the number of homes that are actually on the market, pending and sold. So we have 724 on the market at the end of March. That's quite an increase from the previous year. As you can see, our inventory has really grown. We have 152 that went pending, and then we have 141 that were sold. So you can see that pending number is on the rise, and we'll get to a later slide to show you why I think that that's happening. Now, what we're seeing here is our actually price per square foot, which is $333. So this is the average price per square foot for the houses that have sold, and that's the lowest we've seen since September of 24. Here we see what we've got for days on market and the list price to sell price ratio. So our days on market dropped a little bit. We were down to 77 days on the market, and then the list price to sell price ratio was at 88%, which is also lower than what it has been. So as this list price to sell price ratio goes down, we'll probably see a decrease in pricing as well. So what about the average list, the average sold? So the average sold price was down to $879,000. The average list price was $975,000. And then that median price, the one that fell out there in the middle when you line them all up, was $735,000. So months of inventory. Now we're showing a drop of months of inventory down to 5.1, which would indicate that it's becoming more of a balanced market. But in this scenario, because of the number of listings that we have, I still think that we are definitely in a buyer's market. The sellers are no longer in control of what they can demand for the price of their homes. They have to be very open and realize that we have a lot more competition and that prices are coming down from a general overall percentage of homes that have listed here in Lakewood Ranch. And as you know, I try and keep up with the interest rates. So I shot this screenshot yesterday. It had dropped to 6.48%. Now, in my opinion, if these tariffs do come into effect and they have a stronghold and they keep downward pressure on the stock market, I think that's also going to push the interest rates down. So I will be curious to see if we don't see a reduction in the interest rates, because I think that that's also going to have an effect on how our pricing goes if the interest rates do start to drop on a more steady basis. So here it is for Lakewood Ranch overall. So you can see the little highlighted blue area where I have the map of Lakewood Ranch. So this is all the numbers for Lakewood Ranch from a resale perspective. And from a resale perspective, in Lakewood Ranch, we had 567 homes that were currently on the market. They were averaging, their average home was a four bedroom, 3 bath home with around 2,600 square feet and listed at a little over a million, 1,000,024. And that came out to about $376 a square foot. So what about the pending? So the pending homes in this geographical area, how we have this sanctioned off, the number of homes pending was 129. They were listed at 971,000, and that comes out to about $345 a square foot. And then finally, what did we have sold for that area? Well, there was 148 that got sold that were registered in the MLS. The list price on those averages was 978,000. The sold price was 950,000, so that comes out to $351 a square foot. So as you can see, whether you're dividing it up into the two zip codes of 34202 and 34211, or if we're looking at the overall effect for Lakewood Ranch, the numbers are very similar. The reason we have discrepancies in it is because those two zip codes include areas that are not actually labeled Lakewood Ranch. A lot of that is going to be labeled Bradenton, like when you go out to the Panther Ridge area or if you go into Concession. And also if you go over into the other side of Lakewood Ranch Boulevard, those homes are not considered Lakewood Ranch, but they do fall into those zip codes. So that's why we have a difference of numbers in those two criteria that we have set up. If you find yourself coming here to the Lakewood Ranch area and you need help getting yourself a home, I would love to help you navigate and see what that process might look like for you. And if you currently have a home here in Lakewood Ranch and you're considering selling, I'd be honored to come in and sit down and have a conversation about what that process might look like for you. And you also might find this video here interesting. We have a lot of people that are looking at different neighborhoods, and here are the top 3 neighborhoods that I ran a couple of weeks ago for Country Club East, Lakewood Ranch Country Club, and Lake Club. So hopefully you find that interesting. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company.